Like everywhere else, cities are quiet across the vast African continent as governments enforce lockdowns and measures prohibiting gatherings. But below the surface, activists and academics say some regimes, a few with spotty human rights records to begin with, are using the pandemic as a cover to impose greater controls.
The huge concern is that those measures have been excessive in terms of the soldiers and the police beating up residents, and also the use of laws now to further restrict freedoms of expression.
Mavinga pointed to a new law in Zimbabwe that threatens 20 years in prison for spreading falsehoods, to a ban on gatherings by Malawi's government, and to alleged police abuses in South Africa. Those are testified to on social media, which in this crisis has been flooded with harrowing videos showing the dark side of lockdown enforcement. VOA couldn't independently verify these videos, but they were little surprise to analysts.
So I don't think it should be massively surprising that when their powers have expanded and they're told to keep people off the streets, we see human rights violations. We've seen that in South Africa, we've seen that in Kenya, we've seen that in Rwanda. In some cases, people being shot. In other cases, people being hit with rubber bullets. In many other cases, people being beaten and brutalized. And of course, in many ways, this is unnecessary and unhelpful. It's going to breed antagonism. It's not going to breed the sense that everybody is in this together.
Critics and journalists complain that police are not regularly releasing updated arrest figures for lockdown infringements. South African security officials say they are trying to keep the peace with a rights-based approach. The president recently deployed 70,000 Defense Force members, nearly the entire military, to enforce the lockdown.
We can see that our people are starting to hear the call from the president, and most of the people are wearing masks, most of them are sanitizing, and so most of the people are staying at home. It is there and there where you find that people are just loitering around and not knowing where they are. But we've got a way of addressing them and talking to them and advising them to stay at home.
But their presence, residents say, is not reassuring.
Everybody must stay inside their houses, but nobody is inside their house. They are walking around, and within few days they catch the virus, they come to the hospital. When the military is around in the street, I know they won't be walking as they are free.
Mavinga says clamping down on basic freedoms at the expense of security is counterproductive.
To be effective in combating the virus, you need to respect rights, because if you do not do that, it means that the objective of focusing exclusively on lockdowns will be defeated. You will not save lives because people will not understand, or people will suffer from other epidemics.
And Cheeseman argues this could have long-lasting effects on these already fragile democracies, where dissent is often met with force. Rights groups have raised alarms about journalists in particular being targeted, harassed, arrested, or worse, even in countries with wide media landscapes, like South Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Nigeria.
And so one of the great risks is actually, as a result of this health crisis, we create less free societies with less free media, with less ability of citizens to speak their minds. Because all that's going to do is enable governments to put in place the wrong policy without ever facing any pushback, without any accountability. So to me, what this crisis shows us is that we deal with health challenges better when we have free media, open access to information, and when we actually have a proper debate that can change government policy and improve government policy. And that's why we need to make sure that while we might occasionally need to lock down people, we never lock down democracy.
African leaders have tried to make light of the restrictions, with South African officials even joking that the nation's strict lockdown, which bans all sales of alcohol and tobacco, might do some long-term good. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni even did a home workout video. But the fear is that this new normal will just be a warm-up for authoritarian leaders. Anita, Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.